disclosure, we were dancing. In fact, we just sat down right now. I mean, you can't just stay on your seat while that kind of jam is playing. And I learned to dance, by the way, which I'll be showing you very soon, you know. Now, me get this. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have joining us Rotimikeys, real name, if you want to sign a check for him. Rotimi Akinfenwa, music producer, singer, songwriter, creative director, musician, fashionista, dancer now.
Wow.
You know, I could go on and on.
Okay, I should add that to my resume.
Rotimikeys, welcome to the morning break.
Thank you so much for having me.
Beautiful song. That's like the tune for the year.
Yes,
and I know even, because we are coming from politics today, even politicians say, now me get this year, now my turn, you know. Actually. But tell us the inspiration, because we're in May already, and I've heard a lot of people say, you know, that song has been a defining one for me this year. So that's the kind of things we want to put out there. It's not just messages of despair, messages of fear and the rest. So just quickly, talk to us about how far that music has gone, the thinking behind it, and just what you were trying to achieve.
Okay, well, personally, I just wanted to put out good music. I just wanted to share with the world what, you know, God gave me. You know, so when it came, fact, between the time that I wrote the song, well, and the time it came out, it was 2 weeks. That's probably the shortest production I've had in my entire life.
2 weeks?
2 weeks. It was 2 weeks. Exactly. So the morning I woke up with it, and I started hearing the song in my head. It was that kind of song that I had to pick up my phone. Started recording on my phone, and immediately I was done. I just called the boys, show, studio, now we need to start today. Because I knew, you know when it's time for something, even though it's just thrown on your lap, you know, all of a sudden, but you know this is the time for it, you know. So I didn't think I was going to go this big, I mean, but it is what it is.
That is a tune, literally.
It is what it is.
But we need to know Rotimikeys. We've heard your music, a lot of us vibe to it. But who's Rotimi Akinfenwa? Who are you if you were to describe yourself to, to the world again and again and again? What would be the consistent thing you would always say about you?
Okay, so music has always been a very integral part of my life from my childhood. Like, I remember that growing up, my father used to play, you know, turntables in the house. Yeah, we grew up in the era of turntables, you know. So, and as a child, I used to be fascinated more about how the music was put together than the music itself.
Okay.
So most people will listen to music and they will dance, but I will be in one corner wondering, how did the drums come on top of this thing? How did that keyboard, all those things, how did it come together? So that had always been a driving force, you know, for me. And from my childhood, that's what has always driven my music conviction, you know, all through school, all through primary school, secondary school, university. I'm a graduate of accounting.
Thank you for putting that.
But it was obvious before I finished. Even I'm sure my parents knew that, okay, yeah, we've paid the school fees, let's just go and finish. But they knew that this was what was going to happen with this guy. So I'd always been that kind of guy. I picked up on instruments myself. I didn't go to music school. I wanted to, but there was no music school around back in the day. So I literally just, okay, nobody will teach me, fine, I'll start myself. So most of what I do, the drums, keys, literally sitting with a laptop, you know, learning one or two things and all that, I literally had to, you know, dig in by myself. So yeah, music is one large part of my life.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's all coming together for me now. It seems like when you hear the name Akinfenwa, it's synonymous with beautiful melodies. You are brother to Benga Akinfenwa, right?
Yes, I am.
So it's a music family. You know, you talk about the role that your dad played as well. Talk to us about growing up. Yeah, you've said a lot about that. But did you have any resistance from your parents? You know, because your older brother is also into music and you are into music. Okay,
so I got into music first. So at some point when I started with the drums, and then I moved to the keyboards. As at age 11, I had already started playing the drums, the keys, the guitars. I wanted to start playing the trumpet, but then my cheeks were too soft for it. So my brother came in because he came from school at some point, and then I taught him to play the bass guitar. So that was how he started and then got into it. My parents did not exactly, my father is not a musician. It's not. My mom spent some time in the choir when we were growing up, but I mean, that was it. And when we started, it was just what's this boy latching onto? You know, they got musical instruments in church. Once we were done with school and went home, from there we're going to church to just go and, you know, make noise and all that. So it was a joyous thing for them to see their children growing up in church and all that. But then it started getting serious. And, you know, it started affecting my education. I mean, I wouldn't advise anybody to do that, but it happened to me, you know. So that was the only time that they really raised their concerns, like, you're in school, try and at least not let this affect that. But they never stopped me. I didn't have to creep out of the house. I didn't have to. The only time I can say that they really sat me down to talk to me was when my grades, I went from first and then second, and then I was doing 12th in class, that I was doing first before and second, you know. So basically, they didn't stop me. You know, they just allowed me to do what I wanted to do.
And so there are very little distinctions between your sound and your brother's sound. It's a lot of happy melodies, a lot of worship, you know, that you find in your sound and his sound as well. So are we going to be seeing you and your brother doing things together in the future?
Well, there was a single I dropped in December called Ori Ofesha. He actually sang on that with me, you know. So that in itself is another song that sort of gathered his own
crowd
and crowd by itself, you know. So this year I've had to push. As a musician, you'll probably be pushing a song at a time. I've had to push two at the same time. So because both of them sort of had their own crowd gathering by themselves. Some people it was that Ori Official that had my brother on it. And then for some other people it was this year. So that was what I had to do, you know. Till now I'm pushing two songs at the same time.
So let's talk about, I remember Mali music, and I'm sure you know Mali music at some point. If I may be correct or wrong, but I know you had mentioned the fact that faith-based sounds can be quite limiting, and we've seen alternate sounds coming forth. So my question is, why did you choose faith-based route to express yourself, given what you can do if we stand by what Mali music is saying?
Okay, well, what a lot of people don't know about me is, apart from the fact that I am a Christian musician, I also do a lot in the background in the music space. I produce for a lot of other people. A lot of the sounds you hear for brands that I use to sell products and all that, a lot of them come from me. I mean, if you remember Project Fame, I wrote the music, produced it. If you remember Gould Ultimate Search back then in the day, some of those, you know, some of those things, those are things that I do even till now. You know, so apart from doing faith-based music, I also work in the marketplace of music. So I've seen both sides of the divide, in quote, and I've realized that, yes, to some extent, because we have given that definition to it, once you say gospel, you lock it in a box and you put it there. But some of us have realized that what we carry is sort of bigger than that box. So whether we like it or not, the faith that we practice is our lifestyle. It's not just music. It's the lifestyle we live. So that is bound to come out in your music. But at the same time, there are other parts of your life that will also be expressed that will probably not be termed gospel, that will not be put in that box. So that's what a lot of us are doing. So a lot of people know me more as a musician. A lot of people know me more as a producer. A lot of people know me more in the advertising space. A lot of people know me more in the touring space, because I also, you know, direct tours, you know, music tours and all that. So it's putting all that together. It will take someone who has probably followed me for a while to realize that, okay, this guy is not just restricted to this one box.
So you're making a lot of money, apparently.
Wow, Jeffrey, that's all you heard.
That's all you heard. You see, he positioned himself everywhere. You can see. But let's take a listen to one of your sound, and then we'll come back to some of the conversations we'll have. Let's take a listen to this one. It's difficult to say whether she explained what was happening there, but I would ask anyway.
Well, this is the song that I said had my brother on it. This is already official. So this one came out in December last year. So yeah, that already started, getting into, places of worship, into people's playlists and all that before this year came out. So this is the first one I started pushing in December before this year. So this was recorded live in my studio, so my brother came around, some of my team members, and then we had a small crowd, so it was just a time of, worship and all that, and then we recorded some of this stuff.
No, for those who don't know what you're saying, what were you saying?
Ore Ofesha means grace in Yoruba. Grace, abundant grace. So I'm saying, God, if it had not been for your grace that I have received, if it had not been for your mercy, Anusha, that's abundant mercy that I have received. So it's a song of, adoration to God, acknowledging that you are not here by yourself, if not for his grace, if not for his mercy that has brought you this far.
And, it's not just grace and mercy that you have received. You've also found a beautiful wife, 12 years in marriage now.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah, we clocked 12 years of marriage a few days ago, actually.
Exactly.
Yes.
So talk to us, because music, you've said a lot of things. You're a multi-potential. You do music, you do performance, you do production, you do tours, you do a lot of things. You're literally the plenty roots market. How do you then manage relationships? Because some say you have to choose one. If you will be successful in this, then you probably have to drop the ball in some way when it comes to all those personal relationships. But you seem to be managing it well. How have you been doing that?
Well, I can't give you a particular formula for that, but I know this: if you marry your best friend, things sort of have a way of coming together based on that. So you won't have to prove yourself. You won't have to choose. You can carry all together. Of course, it takes a bit of dedication. There are times where I have to sort of push the music thing a bit behind and attend to my, family. And then there are times when they will realize that this man is going to be out of town for the next 3 months. He's on tour. We are going to have to...
Do you go with your wife on tour sometimes?
No. Because
that was a sharp no.
Well, she's a big woman herself, so she's a big woman herself.
So you can't take her away from
exactly.
her.
So I can't take her from. I mean, she also leads a team of many people. So it's difficult to put. I would love to, but so our time of vacation is very sacred to us, if we put it that way, because those are some of the times where there's nobody disturbing, there's no no phone ringing. As much as possible, we try to do that.
Interesting. So, I mean, you have to tell us, is it all bed of roses? Because they say there are thorns naturally in it. How do you handle attention, for example? Because you're Rotimikeys. No, don't let me go there this morning. I think it's too early.
That sounds like a Bukola question.
Well, I'm learning from Bukola. So what is your mantra? How do you stay focused and say, no, I will not fall, whether you want me to or not?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, this me is still, I mean, yes, I have grown, but still the same me. As I make jest with my wife, I said, now maybe this, I know remain for house, that kind of thing. This is all of me. I mean, there's nothing that I do that is not by grace. It's not, everything I have received. So that keeps me grounded as much as possible. And as I said, it's easier to do these things when you're married to your best friend. You can talk about anything, you can share anything, and all that. When you're going through stuff, we're real with each other. That's the truth. We're very real with each other.
There you go.
And that's very inspiring that you're big on family, and it's you see it as your mainstay, your anchor. Such inspiration is very scarce resource these days, particularly in the entertainment space. But besides that struggle, that's your beautiful wife, by the way.
That's your best friend.
That's my girlfriend.
Yeah. I'm sure she's watching, and
yes, she is. Yes,
she'll be glowing too as she sees this. Hello.
Hey, baby.
So you were talking about how you're active in all other music spaces besides your song, and I heard you in another interview where you talked about how you had actually written one song, I think it's Oriofe, this year, 5 years prior to the time that it was released, but you didn't have enough confidence, about your own voice. That's very revealing, because what we see actually is, a call to celebration or a call to another realm. Very beautiful sound. How did you overcome, that personal struggle, and coupled with how do you deal with the pressure, you know, to produce beautiful sounds while you're also active in all those other spaces?
Wow, that's a very deep question actually, because I think that every creative gets to that space. You get to that place where you struggle with, you know, imposter syndrome. Is this really me and all that, you know? So I've had quite a bit of that. I was telling people, I said, I have never been a fan of my own voice. You know, people come and say, oh, you sing beautiful. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. But in my own head, I know that I have other people that I have produced or worked with and all that. I know the kind of standards I have in my head. And in my own head, I don't meet up to it myself. But I guess it was just time. One thing I've come to realize is once it's time for something to happen, everything comes together to make it happen, right? Yeah, the song you were talking about was Life is Beautiful. I released that in 2020, and it was a sort of testing the waters kind of song for me. I'd written it in like 2015, you know, and I'd produced it. I hadn't really put my voice on it, but I'd done some of the recording, you know, in Nigeria and then out of the country and all that. But it was just sitting on my hard drive because I didn't know what to do with it. I just thought, maybe I should sell this to someone else. But then in the midst of the pandemic, I realized, no, this is the time for this to go out. So rather than try to shop it to someone, I just said, you know what, fine, let's face it. So that, when it came out, the acceptance from that, and every time I listen to it, you know, I've had people call me on the phone and weep, saying that song helped them through the pandemic. And I was like, oh, wow. I didn't realize what I would have sat on could have been such a blessing. So I'm glad that this happened. You know, so that sort of started building a bit my confidence. So rather than just push it aside, I said, you know what, it's time to face this. So I started getting my vocal lessons. You know, I started doing all that a bit, and yeah, that's the journey till now.
Amazing.
All right, we have a lot more questions, right? But we don't have so much time. But we'll take just this quick break, and when we come back, we'll take more questions from you. So, Rotimi, let's get to the last part of the conversation, which is, if you can answer it in 1 minute, what can be done so that gospel musician, I know a lot of people don't want to put in that box, can have a proper label structure? Because I'm saying that when you have the YBNLs, the Chocolate Cities, when it was there, the Maven and all of that, we don't seem to, it's like every individual is a record label when it comes to the gospel space.
Well, for me, what I think is, from my analysis so far, or my interpretation of what has been going on so far, is the fact that generally by default, we are not necessarily a people who by default have a process mindset. Right? Okay, if I want to do this, let me go from 1 to 2 to 3. We have a lot of people who happened on this. You know, they released one song and then it suddenly blew. So, I mean, this just kept going on that path. And really, that is what has been big. You see that most people who are big in that space now are not signed.
We have to dance to your song, really. We want to talk. I was going to ask, are you going to feature Burna Boy, Wizkid? Is that something you probably do?
If it comes up down the line, probably, yeah.
Okay, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Rotimikeys, it's been an honor having you on the show. Rotimi, Akinfenwa, music producer, singer, songwriter, creative director, musician, lover boy. I've run out of breath.
Making money from all sides.
Thank you so much for being a part.
Thank you so much.
We're going to dance to this here. Let's just close on this side. So that's been the show, guys. Thank you for being a part of it. Sunrise Daily is up next. I'm Kayode Kikili.
Yeah, well, for me, regardless of the challenges, remember Rotimi saying, now you get this year. I'm Bukola Koka.
Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma.
Let's do that dance, Rotimi.
Oh, yeah, no.
Hey. Here we go.
Lift your hands and say amen. Amen.